Jaya Radha-Madhava. Alright, I think it's... Mahavishnu Maharaj didn't use it?
He did.
He did. Because it's a little bit spontaneous and in some temples even revolutionary. Hey, accordion, why not? It's in... Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Vivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Goswami. Abhay Shanavindra Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Jai Om Vishnupada Paramahansa Parivrajikacharya Ashtotarasya Shrimati Goswami Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada Maharaj ki jai. Ananta Guri Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Mahapurana ki jai. Gaura Premanande Hari. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Jai Shri Guru Gauranga Jai Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Today we continue to read from Srimad Bhagavatam 2932. Continue purport. So I was requested not to read Srimad Bhagavatam text and just continue, but I prefer to read at least to maintain the standard of parampara. And I first of all would like to ask for the blessings of all wonderful Vaishnavas of this august assembly, and especially Prabhupada's followers and disciples, because in such an auspicious day, to be in a holy place, to chant holy name with holy people in a holy day, not more than holy than this, as Srila Prabhupada will offer to his spiritual master, Param Guru Vaisi Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, oh, this blessed day when something concerned with my spiritual master, the most holiest day. So on this very, very auspicious day, to sit on this Vyasasana, I feel very much unqualified, obviously, and I definitely need all your blessings to be able to speak few meaningful words to glorify our acharyas. Yes, thank you. And we continue to read today's text. Yāvān ahaṁ yathā-bhāvo yad-rūpa-guṇa-karmakaḥ tathaiva tattva-vijñānam astu te mad-anugrahāt. All of me, namely my actual eternal form and my transcendental existence, color, qualities and activities, let all be awakened within you by factual realization out of my causeless mercy. And we continue read from that point. Continue of the purport of His Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The Lord discloses the transcendental nature of His existence. The mundane wranglers make mundane conception of the form of the Lord. It is said in the revealed scriptures that the Lord has no mundane form. Therefore, persons with a poor fund of knowledge conclude that He must be formless. They cannot distinguish between the mundane form and the spiritual form. According to them, without a mundane form, one must be formless. This conclusion is also mundane because formlessness is the opposite concept of the form. Negation of the mundane conception does not establish a transcendental fact. In the Brahma Samhita, it is said that the Lord has transcendental form and that He can utilize any one of His senses for any purpose. For example, He can eat with His eyes and He can see with His leg. In the mundane conception of form, one cannot eat with one's eye or see with his leg. That is the difference between the mundane body and the spiritual body of Satchitananda. Brahma Samhita 5.1. A spiritual body is not formless. It is a different type of body of which we cannot conceive with our present mundane senses. Formless therefore means devoid of mundane form, or possessing a spiritual body of which the non-devotee can have no conception by the speculative method. The Lord discloses to the devotee His unlimited varieties of transcendental bodies, all identical with one another, with different kinds of bodily features. Some of the transcendental bodies of the Lord are blackish and some of them are whitish. Some of them are reddish and some are yellowish. Some of them are four-handed and some of them two-handed. Some of them are like the fish and some are like the lion. All these different transcendental bodies of the Lord, without any differential category, are disclosed to the devotees of the Lord by the mercy of the Lord. And thus, the impersonalists' false arguments claiming the formlessness of the Supreme Truths do not appeal to a devotee of the Lord, even though such a devotee may not be very advanced in devotional service. The Lord has unlimited numbers of transcendental qualities, and one of them is His affection for His unalloyed devotee. In the history of the mundane world, we can appreciate His transcendental qualities. The Lord incarnates Himself for the protection of His devotees and for the annihilation of the faithless. His activities are in relationship with His devotees. Srimad Bhagavatam is full of such activities of the Lord in relationship with His devotees, and the non-devotees have no knowledge of such pastimes. The Lord lifted the Govardhan hill when He was only 7 years old and protected His pure devotees at Vrindavana from the wrath of Indra and was overflooding the place with rain. Now, this lifting of Govardhana hill by a 7-year-old boy may be unbelievable for the faithless, but for the devotee it is absolutely believable. The devotee believes in the almighty potency of the Lord, while the faithless say that the Lord is almighty, but not believe it. Such men with a poor fund of knowledge do not know that the Lord is the Lord eternally, and that one cannot become the Lord by meditation for millions of years or by mental speculation for billions of years. The impersonal interpretation of mundane wranglers is completely refuted in this verse, because it is clearly stated here that the Supreme Lord has His qualities, form, pastimes, and everything that a person has. All these descriptions of transcendental nature of personality of Godhead are factual realizations by the devotees of the Lord, and by the causeless mercy of the Lord they are revealed to His pure devotee and to no one else. Om Ajnana-timirandhasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurum Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Daivim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudhirayit Nashtaprayeshu Badreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Yam Swanubhavam Akilam Shutisaramekam Adhyatmadipamatitirshatam Tamundham Samsarinam Karunaya Purana Guhyam Tam Vyasasunumupayami Guru Muninam Mukham Karuti Vachalam Palgum Langayate Girim Tatkripatamaham Bande Shri Gurun Dinatarine Ajanulambita Bujau Kanakavadato Sankirtanai Kapitaro Kamalaya Takshau Vishwambaro Dvijavaro Yugadharma Palo Vande Jagat Priya Karu Karunavataro Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. It is explained in all scriptures that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but to understand this is very, very difficult. Bahunam janmanamanti gyanavanmam prapadyanti vasudevak sarvamati sa mahatma sudurlavaha. Only great souls can understand Krishna as he is. And to understand Krishna and his pastimes is the purpose of life. Janma karma chame divyam evam yaveti tattva-tah. So before we leave the body, if you understand that, then we can never come back to this material world. That's the main purpose. Ramadi murti shukalani eminatishtan nana-avataram akarodbhuvaneshu kintu. So many avatars are there, like waves in the ocean, but Krishna, Govinda, is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So who can understand that? In fact, Krishna has many incarnations. And I remember in Srimad Brihad Bhagavatamrita, Sanatana Goswami explains that when Gokumar comes to the spiritual world, he can see so many varieties of living entities there. Different colors, different shapes, different whatnot. So many wonderful manifestations. And it is explained that all these living entities, they achieved Sarupya Mukti by worshipping Krishna in particular out of numberless universes, who came to that particular universe in that very strange, particular, very strange maybe form, but they were meditating on that form, and therefore they got Sarupya Mukti of that form in spiritual world. Therefore such a huge varieties, because there's so many manifestations of Krishna's forms all over the creation. Therefore, to understand what is the origin of Krishna's form, very difficult, in fact. In fact, Krishna manifests to each and every devotee in different particular way, because as we don't have similar fingerprints, similarly there is no similar relationships of living entities with Krishna. Not at all. We all have different rasas, as Jiva Goswami also explains. When to produce sound with just one mouth, it's just you can make only 1-2 sounds only. But to produce the same sound through the flute, it can create unlimited melodies, rasas. Krishna is Rasaraj, and the wholes are devotees. So by playing with devotees, Krishna can produce different kind of rasas. That's why he is Rasaraj. That's why he is playing flute, manifesting these rasas. But only pure devotee can actually enter that realm of understanding, who is Krishna, and play with him. In fact, it's interesting, it's explained that devotees also are another very different manifestations of Krishna. Devotees also, small avatars of Krishna, that Krishna can manifest through them. And Vaikuntha, this is such a place where only pure devotee can enter. I was reading other day in Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd canto, 15th chapter, text number 18 and 19, description of Vaikuntha. In this conversation we can see Lord Brahma, he asked 4 questions from Krishna, right? And he asking him different questions, and here he asked, what is the different forms Krishna has, transcendental forms. Then he speaks about the different energies, explain me your energies, and then how they are working in this material world. And then how are you playing with your energies? And then he says, can you kindly help me with this creation, because I don't want to become puffed up. Very tough, puja pratishta, shukarera vishta, as Srila Bhaktivedanta Saraswati said, when you're creating, you start to think by the influence of modes of nature, kartahamati manyate. I am doer, actually not bad, I can do something. So please help me not to think myself as a doer. And how I can see you, my dear Lord? And he explains that Vaikuntha, what is Vaikuntha? Just in brief, you can have a reference. 3, 5, 18, 19. He says that in Vaikuntha, nobody has this false ego. It is explained, Parabatanya Britas Sarasa Chakravaka Datyutaham Sashukatitriti Bahiram Yah Kalahalo Viramati Chiramatramuchair Bringadhiri Harikatham Ivagayamani. What is the Vaikuntha? When the king of bees hums in a high pitch. Bumblebee, for those who are sleeping. Singing the glories of the Supreme Lord, there is a temporary lull in the noise of the pigeon, that the cuckoo, the crane, the chakravaka, the swan, the parrot, the partridge, and the peacock, such transcendental birds stop their own singing simply to hear the glories of the Lord. Beautiful. In Mayapur, you remember, huh? Or some pigeon here mentioned. Very pleasing. Or peacock. And here is bumblebee. Pretty much, well, what to say. But because this is glorification of Krishna, everybody getting quiet. As we gave example, recently I gave a lecture in United Nations. We had some United Religious Initiatives meeting. And we happened to speak with different leaders and, Catholics and Jewish rabbis and Muslim mullahs. We had 50 people there. And then we were talking and just one insignificant person entered and everybody was rapt attention, listened actually, with respect. We had quite a fun together, though everybody is so different. You see, everybody is so different. And I just wanted to say that to create that kind of family, that understanding, it requires respect and freedom from false ego. Because as His Grace Vaisheshika Prabhu, he always says that there are three main obstacles in the spiritual world, in spiritual understanding, three main obstacles. He says, these three obstacles are, I know that. I know that. Finish. We cannot understand anything. And therefore, that Vaikuntha mood means everybody respecting, even you have super pooper qualities, maybe you are in the sky, cuckoo or peacock or chakravaka. But when simple, insignificant, materially speaking, person who doesn't have much material qualification glorifies God, everybody love to hear. Krishna gunakathamrita panamatha, as Dhruva Maharaj says, because they are intoxicated, panamatha, by Krishna katha. And another example he gives, Lord Brahma he gives, it's about the plants. Mandara kunda kurabhot pala chambakarna punnaga naga bahulambuja parijataha gandhir chite tulashikar bharanena tansya yasmis tapas sumanaso bahumannayanti. All the flowers, plants like mandara, kunda, kurabhaka, utpala, champaka, arna, pannaga. Never even heard this kind of names in this material world. Nagakeshara, bahula, lily and parijata are full of transcendental fragrance. They are still conscious of the austerities performed by Tulasi. For Tulasi is given special preference by the Lord, who garlands himself with the Tulasi leaves. Champaka, parijata, such a beautiful flowers, but they are very humble in front of Tulasi, because Tulasi very dear. Tulasi Krishna Preyasi. So in this way we can see how to enter Vaikuntha. And in that this assembly of United Nations, there were so many people sitting so different, also in their own way fragrant. And guess what? Krishna likes everyone. He loves everyone. But I am just trying to, we were sitting there and I said to them, we are so different and it's very important to make one garland. Because like in Nepal, I came from Nepal, there is national anthem, country's anthem, Sayo Tunga Fulko Hami Euta Mala Nepali. I gave this example yesterday, we had Nepali program. All of us, we are like different flowers, different flowers, blue, red, yellow, white. Doesn't matter. Somebody fire brigade, somebody ambulance, we have red and white color. But everybody is serving supreme government, emergency. And our duty is to unite everyone by one thread, Sutre Maniganaiva, and that thread is God. our duty to make everyone as a Vasudeva Kutumbakam, as one flower garland, not to be proud of your own. And I give another example. Yes, and I ask them, how do you feel to be together? You have to speak one word, and everybody spoke one word. Happiness, communication, love, cooperation. Somebody said orchestra, and somebody said, and the one Pope from Vatican, Amen. Okay, fine. But then what we're going to do with these words? So I said to them, okay, let's do one thing. You write down the words, and we can write down one poetry by using these words only. We can make competition. And everybody said, wow, how to write poetry? And that also during the session. We had 1.5 hour session. During the session you have to write down. Session going on, and you have by left hand you can write down the poetry. And who will win the competition? We will win together. There is no winners or losers. Alright, so he did competition. And as I say always, guess who won the competition? Srila Prabhupada, of course. Your humble servant won the competition, and I wrote one poetry, and you see, I wrote this, it's Divine Orchestra, Divine United Orchestra to play the song of divine love. Would you like, I will read this poetry?
Yeah.
Today we have a little poetry class. I am going to read for you a couple of poems written by Srila Prabhupada and other acharyas. But one of them, it's called Global Orchestra to play the music of divine love. We are so different and beautiful indeed. Together we can grow high with the spiritual speed. Like the divine orchestra, we can produce the song which will make all world united, harmonious and strong. The spiritual symphony descending from above, with hearts united in hope and peace, will bring this divine love. In our song, we will use the words smile, unity and joy, cooperation, love and harmony, the darkness to destroy. Rejuvenating family together we create to give the solace to the world before it's too much late. Create the family symphony divine with love as a holy queen. Share your happiness with mine, so be it, and Amen. So, and everybody was just like, huh? What? Super! And we were, of course, it was so joyful, because our purpose is to create the symphony, orchestra, which can glorify God. Everybody may be playing different instruments, somebody playing drum, somebody playing flute, somebody playing guitar, or doesn't violin, but it's not the business to show I am better playing than you. It becomes cacophony. You know cacophony? What do you say in English?
Cacophony.
Cacophony, yeah? So, and sometimes when there is orchestra, there is one director of orchestra, conductor. And before general performance on the stage, it's allowed first 5 minutes to have cacophony, to tune your instruments. You have seen sometimes orchestra performance? So everybody brings with their super pooper instruments and flute and drum and guitar, whatever. And they allow few minutes. Everybody playing their own drama. But then at the moment of attention, everybody have to be quiet and follow one director. And our director is Krishna, Samsiddhi Haritoshanam. Our director, Srila Prabhupada, for his ISKCON devotees. One director. There is no, too many cooks spoil the broth. And his teachings, Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita. But his teaching, he followed also director. And that director was Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj. Prabhupada ki jai! And very slowly we can enter that realm of glorification of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. It is explained that we cannot understand Krishna, we cannot understand God by our tapasya, austerities, and nayamatma balahinena labhyana midhyana bahunam shrutena, not by reading Shastra, not by becoming 3 times Bhakti by Bhava or 6 times Bhakti Shastri and super pooper tapasya, and by making super pooper big structures and projects. Rahu ganaitat tapasana yati nachajjaya nirvapanat grihadva nachandasa nirva jalagni surye vina mahat padarajo bhishekam. Until unless we will get the dust from lotus feet of Vaishnavas, unless we will become humble. Niskincananam ki Padarajobhishekam Niskinchananam Navrinita Yavat. Prahlad Maharaj says we have to, that Abhisheka was the dust of lotus feet of Vaishnava, from the lotus feet of Vaishnavas. We cannot repay our debt to the spiritual master. If somebody thinks that we can, as Prithu Maharaj he explains in 4th canto Bhagavatam, such a person called Joker, Vinoda Patram, Joker, we cannot repay by doing anything. So therefore what to do? We simply have to accept the instructions of spiritual master as life and soul. As it is said also in 7th canto Bhagavatam, 15th chapter, text number 25, Narada Muni explains to Yudhishthira Maharaj, to control this, you can do this, you control the lust, you have to make strong desire to do it, and then to control this, desire for greed, you have to do this. Big list of how you can control different enemies. And then, obviously, very difficult to do. And then he said, but all this you can achieve by simply worshipping spiritual master and following his instructions. Interesting. So, Srila Prabhupada, in his commentary to Bhagavad Gita, of course we know that Vyavasayatmika buddhi ekeha kuru nandana. He explains that someone who has resolute determination to follow the order of spiritual master as a life and soul, he can cross through the ocean of material existence. And to such a faithful souls, for such great souls, Krishna will reveal himself in due course of time. And anyway, it is very, very big topic, very, very important topic in fact. But just one thing I wanted to say, and Krishna, I just make one note. And Srila Prabhupada said, because if pure devotee, he said this to Gajendra Prabhu in his letter, very famous letter, that we have to come out from the comfortable zone to follow the order of Nityananda Prabhu. We have to come out from comfortable zone and to endure all kind of chastisement and Nityananda Prabhu saved Jagai Madhai, but the world is full of Jagai Madhais nowadays. And they sometimes can insult and beat and humiliate, and to endure this kind of results as a criticism, humiliation, this is the best way of making spiritual progress. And Srila Prabhupada also explains in his lecture in Mayapur, he was giving class on 7/9/29 shloka, I found this, in March 1976 in Mayapur. He says, when pure devotee says, if the servant of Krishna says, I will take you to Krishna Loka, I will take you to Krishna Loka, you must go there. Even Krishna cannot do that. Of course, Prabhupada said he can do it, but usually he never does like this. I will take you to Krishna Loka. You must go there. But if the servant says, Yasya Prasada Bhagavat Prasada, you have to go back to Godhead. You have to go back to Godhead, Prabhupada said, because the words of pure devotee are more important than the words of Krishna even. Prabhupada said that. And one devotee was sharing in Govardhan, Gopi Paranadhana Prabhu, he was sharing, he was sitting and thinking, my God, Krishna must be thinking now what to do, how to take these guys back to Godhead, because my pure devotee Prabhupada said that whom? In one lifetime to take these guys? Hippie, this Kali Yuga product? And I have to find out how to do it, because my pure devotee promised. So this is the mercy of pure devotee when we actually coming in contact with pure devotee. This is very, very wonderful opportunity. We should never take it for granted. And Srila Prabhupada was such a wonderful example. I was reading today the poetry of Srila Prabhupada. Disciple who can understand the manobhishta, Guru manobhishta, who can understand the mind of spiritual master. He able to dedicate his life to that mission. Interesting, I give example of the day also. When car is moving, some dust sitting on the ground, and car moving, very quickly. And some dust, because of movement of the car, also flying with the car, pretty much with the same speed, as long as car moving. As soon as car goes a little bit far away, dust, dust sit down in the square number 1. No movement anymore. But that dust which stuck to the wheels of the car or to the engine, whatever, which happened to stuck with the car, going with the car with the same speed. So similarly, when we simply stuck with the instructions of spiritual master, which Srila Prabhupada gave us, and we have open order, Prithvi Tyachit Jadinagargram Sarvatra Prachare Hobe, to spread Krishna consciousness and to maintain this family garland together. We know that very famous example when Srila Prabhupada also, when he was leaving body in 77, he said that message. One devotee came to him and said, Srila Prabhupada, I read in Srimad Bhagavatam that son Puru of King Yayati, he exchanged old age with him to make his father live longer. Can I do it with you? I will give you my young age and you continue to translate books and I will become old like you. Give me your old age. And Prabhupada said, very nice sentiment. But that's not what I want, Prabhupada said. He said, if you really love me, your love will be shown to me as how much you're cooperating together after my departure. We know that statement. But how it happened? Once Srila Prabhupada, he came to South India, and so many people came to him, touching his feet and he worshipping Srila Prabhupada, and Srila Prabhupada accepting that. He accepting lotus feet, touch from everyone. And one big South Indian professor, Brahmana, who is speaking in Sanskrit, big Pandit, very favorable to Srila Prabhupada, came to him in private and said, Swamiji, don't you understand that people touching your feet is very bad, it's prohibited by Shastra. You're taking karma of people. So much karma you are taking when people touching your feet. It's prohibited by Shastra, not allowed for sannyasi to be his feet to be touched. And Prabhupada looked at him, said, don't you understand? This is my mission. I came to this world to take the karma. Don't you understand my mission? And then this big professor, he folded his hands with great humility. Wow. And then he 3 times circumambulated Srila Prabhupada and was paying obeisances to him. He left. Namo Namah, Haraye Namah. Prabhupada said, don't you understand my mission? It's not very easy to become acharya, to take on a load of these responsibilities. And for that, Srila Prabhupada said, cooperation required, because Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, of course I really want to enter the glorification of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, but Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati wanted to create Gaudiya Math. We cannot describe fully his biography, but I wanted to touch just few points. He took sannyas himself, very contradictory, even nowadays. I came from Vrindaban, we all know that it's very contradictory. People, Vaishnavera kriya mudra vijñāna pujai. People cannot understand the mentality of Vaishnava, or pure Vaishnava, like Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. But Srila Prabhupada was able to understand his mood. In his wonderful prayer, to Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati's appearance day, as we know, he wrote this wonderful poem, Srila Prabhupada's poetry, adore, adore ye all the happy day. I really love it poem. Shall I read it for you? Adore, adore ye all the happy day, blessed than heaven, sweeter than May. When he appeared at Puri, the holy place, my Lord and Master, his divine grace. Oh, my Master, the evangelic angel, give us the light up the candle. Struggle for existence, a human race, the only hope, your divine grace. Misled we are all going astray, save us Lord, our fervent pray. Wander the ways to turn our face, adore the feet, your divine grace. Forgotten Krishna, we fallen soul, praying most heavy, paying most heavy, the illusions toll. Darkness around, all untrace, the only hope, your divine grace. Message of service, though has brought a healthful life as Chaitanya wrote. Unknown to all, it's full of grace. That's your gift, your divine grace. And here it goes. Absolute is sentient, thou hast proved. Impersonal calamity, thou hast removed. This gives us a life anew and fresh. Worship the feet, your divine grace. Had you not come, who had told the message of Krishna, forceful and bold? That's your right, you have the mace. Save me a fallen, your divine grace. The line of service as drawn by you is pleasing and healthy like a morning dew. The oldest of all, but in new dress, miracle done, your divine grace. Srila Bhakti Saraswati Thakur Maharaj ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. And actually, when Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, he heard this poem, he said, you have to publish it in Harmonist. And he said, absolute is silent, though has proved. Impersonal calamity, though has removed. Whatever Abhay Babu, Abhay Charan will print it in magazine. From this day, he understands my mood. To remove Nirvishesha Shunyavadi. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, he actually accepted sannyas. He was travelled along a lot around South India, but there were only Shankaracharya Mayavadis and Madhva Sampradaya sannyasis, those who were very, very rigid and very, very strict in giving sannyas to anyone. But he understood that we need to give respect to the Vaishnava sannyasis. And to understand, of course, history of preaching of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, we have to understand what time he came in Puri. Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he was fighting with all these Apa Sampradayas and so many. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's movement was lost, actually. And it was corrupted, and it was big conflict between the preferable Vaishnavism and Shastric Vaishnavism. Because many people, they could chant Shnik Shnik Hiri Hiri Brum Brum, go to market, buy fish as a river cucumber, as they said. And they can break the principles and then Shnik Shnik Hiri Hiri Brum Brum. They can chant something. And that was actually, no any gentleman used to do anything with Vaishnavism. Bhaktichara Maharaj gave a very wonderful seminar on that. So, therefore it was great requirement to spread this movement in most systematical way so it can be accepted. We have to understand that the time was, Bhaktivinoda Thakur was praying to the Lord, please send me your ray of Vishnu. Tell me somebody who can help me to do that. And we know in Puri, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati was born with the umbilical cord, like Brahman thread. And it was very amazing sign. And then we know how wife of Bhaktivinoda Thakur brought him to the Jagannath and garland fell down on him. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur accepted, oh, this is a divine sign. Bimal Prasad. And then we know how 5-year-old Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, he came and took the mango which was about to be offered to the Lord, but it was not yet offered, he took it. And Prabhupada in his very famous lecture also explained this. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur lovingly chastised him, rebuked him, what you have done. You took non-offered food which belonged to God and it was not yet offered mango. You should not do this. And from that very day, young boy Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, he took a vow, never ever in my life I will take mango. And he didn't take it ever. Even being an elderly age, his disciples used to offer him mango shake and said, no, I am offender. So such a character, such a wonderful personality. And he basically revolutionized, make revolution, Viplava, in the Gaudiya Vaishnava tradition, to spread it. He explained, he established 64 temples all over India. It's not easy. He established temples in 3 countries, you can say, all over the world, few centers and 1 temple. He, basically Acharya, he brings revolution. In spiritual tradition, there are 3 ways, Sambandha, Abhideya, Prayojana. Nobody can change Sambandha. Nobody can change Prayojana. Nobody can change that. But changes happens in terms of Abhideya, how to implement this. And Srila Prabhupada very nicely explains in first Canto Bhagavatam, 4th chapter, shloka number 1, he explains what does it mean realization. We will not go to that, but realization means not to change the meaning of scriptures given by previous acharyas, not to minimize the position of previous acharyas, not to screw out your own concoction meanings from that, but to be meaning should be preserved, but it has to be presented in such a way so it can be very interesting and acceptable according to time, place and circumstances for specific audience. That's called realization. So Bhaktivedanta Saraswati, he was able to do that. He was, as we know, he was using Western clothes, he was using vehicles, he was using train. And in fact, one of his principles, you see, he subordinated the Raga Bhakti to Vaidhi Bhakti. He said first Vaidhi Bhakti, worshipping as a Lakshmi Narayana. Then he said printing books, doing kirtan, doing service. And then Raga Bhakti comes. Because it's very, very exalted position. But many people those days, they were accepting Raga Bhakti very cheaply. And Govinda Lilamrita explained that there is Ashtakali Leelas at different times of the day, you have supposed to meditate, and it's very authorized. But when people prematurely start to jump from zero to hero, havoc created, in society great disturbance starts. People start to imitate Gopa, Gopis, and etc., etc. So English people, they took it very cheaply when they came. We have to understand the historical time. When English people came, we know this is, 1835? What was his name? He came and to make research. Just slipped from my mind. He came first time in India and he make research. Macaulay. Lord Macaulay came. And he wrote this very famous letter to the Queen of England. Your Holiness, I traveled throughout the India, up and down. I didn't find one illiterate person. I didn't find one poor fellow. There is no, discrepancy. Such a culture, such a power. I think we cannot conquer this country unless we will break very backbone of this culture. That's what he wrote historically. So we have to break the very backbone of their culture. Otherwise we will not be able to make this country dominated. We cannot dominate that country unless they continue to have that culture. And what English people did actually, they took Kali and Krishna as a reason to manipulate the religion. They took Kali as a violence, this very ugly, ghastly form of Kali, black, as a violence model. And they took Krishna, who dancing with gopis, as an immoral model. And they started to present that in such a very, very ugly way. So people started to believe, yeah, it's true. How come God can become so violent? Why are you worshipping this? And why Krishna so immoral? Why are you worshipping him? Come to Jesus. That's what happened. Only Jesus. We're nothing against Jesus, definitely. We are all from Christian background. But the ways is that so Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati really to reintroduce Vaishnava Sanatana Dharma culture, he actually sent his disciple to London, etc. And he started to preach by presenting Chaitanya Mahaprabhu teachings of Lord Chaitanya. Bhaktivedanta Thakur also sent to Canada these teachings of Lord Chaitanya. And when they were preaching in London, of course, they could not make ladies of London of that time to dance as a hippie when Srila Prabhupada came. It was more intellectual presentation, because we have to understand, England people, they were considering themselves a little bit above India. They didn't consider India too much, authorized. So you cannot just boast and boldly speak up to English people about the culture. No, it was more intellectual presentation. It was successful, but not to that extent as Srila Prabhupada did. But main purpose was, to present, and he presented himself as a messenger of love of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Bhaktivedanta Saraswati presented himself as a messenger of love. And he wanted, of course later on, they started to preach in 1943, and then in 1947, I believe he left his body, and then war started, and so many things happened. So this preaching movement was kind of reduced and stopped again. And then, interesting enough, I don't know you know that or not, but when Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati was there, Britishers, they introduced railways, in India. For Indian, it was most fascinating thing. Wow! On two rails, car moving, not left, not right, and there is no accident, and there's network everywhere. It was fascinating. But to control all this kind of railway stations and network, they had GBC, you know that? Government Body Commissioner. They had. And they also regions. And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati took the idea, wow, that's a very good idea, how to run the institution. And he introduced that, and before he left, he introduced to his disciples, we have to make a committee to run this Gaudiya Math institution. But it was highly misunderstood actually, because traditional Vaishnavism was ruled by Mathadish, by Acharya. One man, representative of God, whatever he says, everybody believes. But to accept the truth and God from the body of people, it's a little bit tough. Of course, Krishna can manifest whenever he likes. Once somebody asked Srila Prabhupada, somebody challenged Prabhupada actually, why God, how God come as a pig? Varaha avatar. How God can come as a pig? So Prabhupada said, why not? He is the boss. He can do whatever he wants. If Krishna cannot do that, then he is not God. Krishna can manifest anyway, even from the pillar, like Nrsimhadev. He can come as a fish, as Prabhupada explains. He can come even from the nose of Brahma. Krishna can come up unexpectedly from nowhere. He is a boss. Andantarastam paramanuchayantarastam Govindam adi purusham. But that was not, and very soon fights started and high court cases started. We know that history of Gaudiya Math. And Gaudiya Math unfortunately kind of became dysfunctional. It was great challenge for Gaudiya Math. And Srila Prabhupada, by seeing that, he kind of took the great lesson. In fact, Srila Prabhupada later on, he accepted the mood of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati to continue the war with impersonal concept of God. But Prabhupada was able to change the strategy. He never changed the Vaishnava dress. Even they said, Prabhupada, you put pant and short. Like Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, Prabhupada didn't. Prabhupada actually make few changes actually, but principle remained the same. And the Srila Prabhupada was able to maintain that mood of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And we can see that Srila Prabhupada also, as Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he advocated the GBC, the united. If you want to go fast, you have to go along. But if you want to go far, we have to go together. And it's amazing. It's proving Prabhupada opened 108 temples and still it's running. Now we have how many temples? More than 600 temples. And it's improving, it's taking movement. It's not without smoke, it's, of course, something happening, but actually Prabhupada really make it as an example of joint family. And I will give last example, that to maintain the mood of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Srila Prabhupada did everything to create this kind of Vaishnava Sangha. And when from the mountains, when a river comes, and river is nothing but kind of combination of many streams. Because for the small stream to reach the ocean, very difficult. It requires power, isn't it? Very difficult for the stream to reach ocean. Very difficult. But when many streams join hands together, Yagya Sankirtana Pragaja, it becomes Ganga. And Ganga can overcome stones and obstacles like that. Big movement takes place with many streams. But sometimes there is one dam, dam? Somebody putting dam. And it stops the movement. So dam can be compared with the people who want to use this movement for their own personal benefit. They're trying to use this movement for themselves, not for Krishna. Srila Prabhupada explains in 8th canto Bhagavatam, when demigods and demons were churning the ocean. He says, time, place, circumstances, purpose was the same for demons and for the devatas. But Devatas were able to drink the nectar and demons they could not. Why? Everything was the same. And Prabhupada said, because by motivation. Because karmis, they want to use property of God for themselves. And devotees always depends on Krishna's mercy. So and he gives very, very heavy commentary. You can just check it out. Very, very interesting. How like damn like people, those who can enter spiritual movement, can stop the movement. Even those they may dress as a Vaishnavas, Prabhupada said. Very interesting. So how to stop it? We have to detect that kind of mentality and to maintain that movement in order to achieve the goal and to please Krishna. And it's another example, what really comes to my mind is like bullet. Individually we may be like beautiful, shining, sharp bullet. And if you can take bullet along, just throw it by hand. It can hit you, make even blue mark even to make. But it's not as effective. But when you're putting this bullet in the system, where is like trigger, is pipe, there is handle, there's system. And that bullet in the system become deadly, very powerful. So similarly, individually, we are just not very much effective and efficient. But together, that's very, very much important to manifest great power, this movement. It's not international seating for Krishna consciousness in somewhere in secluded places, Prabhupada said. No, it's international movement. So Bhaktan Saraswati, very pleased by seeing this wonderful river moving. And we have to pray today not to split and not to become again stream, left and right, but how to learn how to be together, to spread this movement and to give this nectar of Krishna consciousness to everyone. Prithviti ache jadinagar gram, sarvatra prachare hobi mera mura naam. And we wrote one humble poem to Srila Prabhupada who resembled the mood of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. And I would like to conclude with this small poem we wrote to Srila Prabhupada, because Prabhupada, he had the big heart where he collected all the nectar from his spiritual master, from previous parampara. And he distributed this nectar. And his heart was as a golden pot. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, he was like Singha Guru. You know Singha Guru? Lion, like. Gauranga Mahaprabhu, he was like Singha Chaitanya. So we are in Singha Sampradaya, by the way. They're boldly preaching. But any one of you here in New Vrindaban, did you drink lioness milk? Anyone? In America, you cannot get? No. Oh, really? Huh? But lioness, she has a milk. Do you know that? She is not feeding Pepsi Cola, as I say, to his cubs. She has a milk. But to digest the milk of lioness is very tough, because it's compared to the acid, very strong. Milk of lioness actually can be used for Ayurvedic purpose, like poison of the snake also can be used in minor quantity for tonics, for the elderly people, for sick people. But very, very tiny quantity you can use it. But how to get it? With special permission of government, usually they're making some sleeping bullet, it just sleeps, and then they, I don't know how to milk the lioness, I don't know. But somehow you don't try to milk the lioness. So, but when they're getting a little bit milk, they need some golden vessel to keep it, because any other metal will be dissolved, like clay pot or anything, or iron, it become dissolved like acid. But golden pot, no. That's why Prabhupada said it's acid test. Only gold can be tested by the acid. Any other metal will be dissolved, but gold become even more pure. So Prabhupada had golden heart. That's why he was able to receive that Singha Guru's milk, nectar. Singha Chaitanya, Namo Mahavadanya Krishna Prema Pradayate. He got the instructions of spiritual master. Actually, I don't know if I was supposed to say that or not, but actually I was told by one of the Prabhupada's secretaries one day. Shall I tell? Because we're online, that's why. But anyway, I'll say, without any offense to anyone, but Prabhupada said once, my Guru Maharaj has many children, but most of them are daughters, the only one son. And business of the son, to take the business of the father around the world. And daughter sitting at home and waiting for the marriage. Not without, with great respect to his god brothers. He said, they're supposed to go all over the world and take mission. And he was writing to them, please come, help me, help me. Nobody somehow didn't help. And one day, Prabhupada was invited for the big conference. ISKCON got invitation. Please come, we're going to discuss how to spread the movement all over the world. It will be 12 representatives from Gaudiya Math and 1 representative from ISKCON. And Prabhupada said, yes, I will accept. I'll come, but with one condition. 11 representatives will be from ISKCON and 1 from Gaudiya Math. Why? Because we are already doing that. Prabhupada did such a challenge to spread this all over the world. And as I usually say, nobody can do what Prabhupada did because he had done it. Bhakti resided in your heart like the nectar in the golden pot. You were very kind and smart to spread the love of God. Through angry ocean had to cross, 2 times got heart attack. So personally, Supreme Lord, your pot had to protect. So even single drop of nectar may never outspill. The ocean calm became and still by Lord Shri Krishna's will. By distributing nectar wide, you relieved the earth from the pain. You saved so many fallen souls who were living lives in vain. You helped us, Lord Govinda, meet. To you is our tribute. Let planet Earth embrace your feet and offer you salute. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. His Holiness A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Maharaj Thakur ki jai. Gaura Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Garantara Srimad Bhagavatam Mahapurana ki jai. Thank you very, very much. And forgive me for any offenses, knowingly or unknowingly committed. Maybe 1-2 questions, because we have today fasting, right? Yes, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Welcome, thank you for such a wonderful class. The question is, you mentioned in your class that the liberated living entities in the spiritual world have their spiritual forms. There's so many varieties of spiritual forms. And it explains so nicely how each of those transcendental living entities in the spiritual world are unique in their own sense, and how every one of them, when they hear the sounds of another, appreciates the other, the devotion of the others. Just so many points you made, so inspiring. But I want to ask, you said that they attained their form because the universe, the material universe, they were residing in the material world. Krishna came and performed his pastimes there, as an avatar. So in the spiritual world, there's so many different forms of, trees and plants and insects and, animals and things. So it's said in somewhere in Bhagavatam that the Lord appears in every species of life. So I'm wondering if you could shed any additional light on that.
Mosquito avatar pastimes. Can you imagine? Krishna comes as a mosquito. Srila Prabhupada used to joke, and he mentioned that sometimes. Somebody asked him, Srila Prabhupada, are there mosquitoes in the spiritual world? Oh yeah, but they're chanting Hare Krishna. They're not biting. But in material world, any kind of avatar, Yamaraj has a big book of avatars of Krishna. And why not? Krishna can come as a Kalpavriksha avatar, a tree. He can come anything. How many do we know? We don't know much. But it's interesting enough. Krishna, my experience, when we can see each and every devotee as an avatar of Krishna. Not only that, in fact, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he explains in the commentary of Srimad Bhagavatam 10th canto, he says that all this universal form is a form of avatar of Krishna. And the planet Earth is his lotus feet. And each and every living entity which living in this planet, each and every living entity took shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord. How I can offend any living entity? So I can see as a connected to the Lord. In fact, every Vaishnava, he's a manifestation of Krishna. He's avatara. Why not? Vaishnava. You know that very famous story of the temple where 5 monks were living. But nobody was coming to temple because coronavirus, whatever its reason might be. Nobody coming to temple. Empty. Hey, no people. I just came from Pittsburgh. So many churches. I mean, I never saw in my life so many churches. Bum, bum, bum. Every 20 meters, church, church, church. Amazing. No people. What reason? That's why Prabhupada bought so many churches in Los Angeles. And Prabhupada said actually. So Krishna can come, and the monks were sitting in the church, nobody coming. So they say, okay, go and ask this rabbi or mullah, I don't know, different varieties of stories. But they went to another church to some Muslim mullah. Said, mullah bhai, why people not coming to our temple? Do any people come? Do they come to your mosque? Oh, nobody comes. What to do? Kali Yuga. What to do? It's a hopeless case. But I can tell you one thing. One of you is avatar of God. Really? Who? That I cannot tell you. You have to figure out yourself. So this guy came back and saw, wow. He saw, oh, I don't know. Maybe Malati Mataji avatara. Oh, definitely, she is. Malati Mataji, she is avatar of Krishna. Oh, and everybody, maybe. And then, because she is so much experienced devotee, so yes, Malati Prabhu, definitely she is avatara. And she thinks, no, maybe Jai Krishna Prabhu is avatara. Therefore, we have to respect to give to him. And he thinks, no, maybe somebody else devotee avatara. So they start to think about each other as avatara. They start to give respect to each other. Thinking means we are avatar. And such a loving exchange started to take place among themselves. And people from outside saw what's happening to them. Such intense loving exchange. Priti Purvakam. Oh, can I become part of your place? Even I want to become like that. I want to have that. People, they don't want to hear shlokas. So many shlokas, so much philosophy. Ekapad vibhuti, tripad vibhuti, panchamahabhuta. It's above the head of people. People simply need to hear the language of love. Priti purvakam. And when we can never expect people to lend their helping hand unless we'll be able to touch their heart. So by seeing everyone, as it's called saragrahi, to see avatar of Krishna everywhere, even in devotees. And in my personal experience, I do have a little bit experience how Krishna can manifest, even through karmis. You'll be surprised to know. I don't want to take your time because you're already over time. But I from beginning, I happened to be commando army officer before. But when I became devotee, I was surprised. Oh, this is also like army of Gauranga Mahaprabhu. Also same discipline, everything same. But how to see Krishna everywhere. And Krishna gave me few experiences in my life, how to see him even in karmis. Krishna can manifest through anyone as a Paramatma. So that was at least my realization. Yam swanubhavam akhilam shruti-saramekam. Shall I tell you one small, my avatar experience? Shall I? Everybody still with us? I'll take a few minutes. I'm just sharing my experience. It's not to be imitated, but that's what made me Krishna conscious actually, eventually. In Russia in end of 80s, and you know the stories, KGB and all stuff, and the 90s. When I joined, I was in army uniform, I put the tilak. I was thinking, why not? Krishna God. Just now we were in a Russian festival, 50 years anniversary of Prabhupada arriving to Russia, to Moscow. A big festival, Kirtiraj Prabhu, Harikesh Prabhu, Malati Prabhu came. So wonderful festival, super. And I met with those devotees, Vaishnavas, and I came to Kirtiraj Prabhu, actually. He came and we had long discussion. And I was in Los Angeles, some few years ago actually. Let me share with you. This is a family which Prabhupada created. And it was festival of Prabhupada disciples there, Prabhupada festival. And then Srila Radhanath Maharaj gave lecture. And he pretty much gave the same topic. We are all family, we are all like uncles and fathers, like that. And after that lecture, everybody were so joyful. Happy, oh, we are family. Family means father and mother, I love you. Family. Okay. So everybody came and joyful. And all Prabhupada disciples were there, to whom I read about them in Prabhupada Lilamrita only, myself. I never even saw many of them. So there were And I was thinking, okay, one devotee from Europe, we were discussing, wow, it's all family together here. And I said, let's go and hug them. Let's take opportunity, because can't I hug my uncle? Come on. And this is everybody, of course, not to be imitated, but I was thinking, my antenna was working. Whom to hug first? And I saw Guru Das Prabhu. Oh, I read about him, yes, correct. He was in London, with Shyam Sundar Pani and Mukunda Maharaj and, okay, Beatles, yeah, oh super, this is a hero. Let me go. And I went to him and tapped his back. Excuse me. Said, yes. No, Guru Das. Yes. He said, Prabhuji, I am Patri Das from Nepal. You are Guru Das. Yes. Can I hug you? Just like that. And he was, why not? Hum, and he hugged me like, and it was, and then, hey, Patri. And for the next 3 days, we were like best friends. I felt like that. Hey, Patri. It's like just one hug. Then I was thinking, what next? Okay, Giriraj Maharaj. Okay, let go. Can you imagine? I mean, as arrogant person as myself, Maharaj. Yes, Giriraj Maharaj. So, Maharaj, you're supposed to be my uncle, right? Can I hug you? I said, why not? Just hug me, of course. And we went around and hugged Shivanand Maharaj and Giriraj Maharaj, and why not? And later on, of course. Even now, we're meeting with Guru Das Prabhu, once I met, because in Mumbai was him. And I met him. I said, oh, Patri, Prabhuji, can I hug you? Why not? It's just amazing, actually. And he told me many stories later on about how Prabhupada chastised him like anything. Like that. It's a very interesting story. Maybe next time I'll share with you. But this time I went to Kirtiraj Prabhu. And also he was telling how they were chased by KGB and so many stories which I didn't even know. I know many stories. But I was really surprised. And then after meeting, we just came, Prabhuji, you're supposed to be my uncle, no? Can I hug you? Why not? It was a wonderful feeling of family. All of us, we literally crying, just like that. And that's what yam swa-anubhavam. So I was thinking, that's family I really want to be in. I don't want to be in the family which new fight. No, it's not like revolution, resolution, no solution. This is not it's just simply language of love. And what happened when I was just new bhakta, I joined. And that's because I saw in Ukraine, we had such a few devotees. We are preaching together, eating prasadam together, dancing together, advancing together. It was like we didn't have books at all that time, We no books. Only few Bhagavad Gitas translated into Russian by some Polish translator, which is not even devotee. All right, but I felt that love, and I happened to join. Army kicked me out, my family kicked me out, so this is history. I never came to my 25 years to my home because my mother kicked me out, my family, my wife divorced me, kicked me out. I was a married man. And then my army kicked me out. I was working as a sweeper in the street for 3 years. But then I was, okay, forget it. And then one day I was sitting in the ashram, tiny small room, we had ashram. And Achyuta Priya Prabhu, who was that time regional secretary, he called me from Kiev. One spiritual master, his Holiness Niranjan Maharaj was coming that time. He is coming, you have to organize big program somehow. And you have to find an artist to find out advertisement. Because that time no flex printing, nothing. So how to find? And I had only one friend who used to come to our program, some artist. His name was Dima. So I called him, hey Dima, hello. Can you write down for us advertisement? And he flatly told me, no, I'm doing my final exam, don't disturb me. He dropped it. So then what to do? Where to find the artist? And I just knew Bhakta. Just sitting like this, they left me. Everybody went for some kirtan and I was just new Bhakta alone in the center. So I decided, I spoke to Krishna. Krishna, you are avatara, you are everywhere. You can manifest anywhere. Can you manifest as an artist? Because I want to do service to spiritual guru who comes. And I said, how to find the artist? And I just dropped in the street and I said, Krishna, as crazy as I was, you are in the heart as a Paramatma, in the heart of each and every living entity. Right? Right. So I will ask now people, anyone I meet, where is the artist? And whatever they say, I'll do that. Anything they say, I'll do that. I'll follow what they will say. And I went, some old lady walking in, "Mother, where is the artist?" "Artist? What is it? I don't know." "No, you have to tell me where to go." "Go straight and right." I went there, some boys were playing football. I said, "Guys, I am looking for artist. Where is the artist?" "Uncle, hey, we don't know, just go straight and left and straight," whatever. For 2 hours I was walking like this in the city. It was Kharkov city. I was wandering, and just in principle I was just, whatever people used to tell me, I was just following. And I came to the art academy finally. It's like huge building, art academy. And I went in the entrance, it was like one old lady in the reception seating. I said, "Mother, yes, I'm looking for the artist." "Hey, you crazy, everybody artist here." I said, "No, you have to tell me where I have to go." "Go upstairs." So I went upstairs, it was like, break between the pairs or between classes. So many students running, so many school, academy. So I caught one guy, "Excuse me, I'm looking for the artist." I said, "You crazy, everybody artist here." "Oh, no, you have to tell me where I have to go." And he just randomly pointed, so many classrooms were there. He just pointed, "Go to this classroom." I said, "Okay, thank you." And I went in, I opened that classroom, I knocked. Open, no one is there. Just empty classroom, no one is there. I said, just see. Now what to do, Krishna? But then I saw one easel, easel? They putting that painting, whatever there, and the easel like stand. And behind that stand I saw 2 legs. Just behind that. And I was thinking, somebody is there, I see. Then again, "Excuse me." And I see 2 legs there, no answer. Then again, more loudly. Nobody come out. Then I see somebody standing, "Excuse me." And then from that easel, head came out. And that happened to be Dima, the friend I called 2 hours ago. Oh no! I was just laughing myself. I don't. That was that Dima I called 2 hours ago, and he was angry. "Don't talk to me, I am busy." Boom. But when he saw me, he said, "How did you find me? I never told anyone where I am hiding. How did you find me?" And then I had to tell him the story. "See, guy, I just came to you, the huge million people city, so many buildings and this, that. I just found you, guy, And you tell me that this is by chance. You tell me that this is by chance." And then, "Oh no, I have to write down." And he wrote actually advertisement eventually. "I have to write, if this is the case." So he wrote. And then I told him, "Maharaj is coming, so why don't you come and listen to him?" "Okay, since I wrote, I have to listen to this guy. Who is this coming?" He went to listen. Eventually he became so inspired, and eventually he became disciple of His Holiness Niranjan Maharaj, and he became one of the best artists of BBT. His name Dinabandhu Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Sometimes avatar acts like this. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you so much. And His Holiness Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj Singha Guru ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Gaura Premanande. Hare Krishna Prabhupada.